Hi guys, welcome back to Humber Koi.
In today's video, we've been having a bit of a think about fines filtration and whether the Nexus can be improved. We noticed there's a weir plating on the outlet. Let's show you what we're thinking. So it's got a bit of a slot there, and I thought, well, I wonder if you could make like a drop-in sieve screen with an overflow across the top. Would that be the final part before it drops down to my gravity? I've got a 4-inch gravity return back to the pond. Could I make like a mini sieve to go inside it that will be a final back to the pond? So I've been doing a bit of parts gathering. I did get, when I was at Wakefield Koi, I managed to bend his arm to sell me a replacement Burton's screen. So I picked this Burton's replacement screen up from George, and he kept telling me how expensive they are. And I bent his arm to sell me it for a price that I was prepared to lose in case this little project didn't work. Now it doesn't no longer have a Burton's drum that fits, so it was surplus to his requirements. So I managed to get it off him. Now I've just been around a local plastics engineering firm to get some polypropylene sheet, 10mm thick. I'm going to take 2 of them, sandwich them together, put the screen in the middle and make a drop in with a nice channel for an overflow across the top. That is the plan. I've got stainless steel nuts and bolts to screw it together with, and I believe I've still got some CT1 left to make a nice little bead around the edge. Fingers crossed it works. It might not. It might have been a waste of money, time and effort, but it might not have been. You're never going to know these things unless you try. So let's crack on. We're going to cut the polypropylene size first, and then we're going to try and cut some large areas out of it for the sieve mesh to go through. So let's get the tape measure out, measure the width, and we'll go from there. Right, I've measured it to 25.5, but I'm going to cut it at 25.6 just to see how it is. So I'm using a set square to mark it out with. Just running down this side. Like so. Let's cut that off and we'll see if it drops into that slot. Cut it to size. First go didn't fit. It goes 75% of the way down and then the bottom seems to taper, so I'm going to have to take a slither off the bottom, tapered both sides. So I'm going to set my saw to a very small angle and take a small slice off to see if we can't get it to drop down. It drops in this far before getting tight. Let me show you. So it drops in really easy until that point, and then it's tight. So we'll taper the last 6-inch ever so slightly to see if we can't get it to drop in. Small taper on both sides. Let's get that cut and see if that drops in. Well guys, take a look at that. Drops right in now, and I've left it high at the top. That is fully down to the bottom to create an overflow slot, so it can go over it if it needs to. So next thing to do is make the other one identical to that, and hopefully we can get 2 of them in alongside each other. So I've cut both of these two together now, and I've sanded the edges so it meets roughly. I'm going to drill some holes in it and bolt them together so I can get a nice cleaner edge on that before I start cutting the centre part out for the mesh. So I'm just tapping a thread into this plastic. Hopefully I won't have to sink a nut in the back side of it because it seems pretty thick and strong. So we'll see if it holds tight enough by the time I get up to that point. So what I've done, drill the hole through to keep these two together now, and rather than putting a nut on the other side, I've tapped a thread all the way through using a tap. So hopefully that'll be strong enough to hold it while the CT1 in the middle holds it together. What I've done now is I've dipped it back in and marked the top of the nexus where I need the overflow to be. So I'm going to cut a slot out of here and go from there. So this is the rough shape I'm going for. 2 screens and an overflow. God, this stuff is hard to cut. It's a lot harder than I expected, especially just with a battery jigsaw. The place that I got this from though said if I brought them a template like this, if it does work, they can hydrojet it to the shape so I can get it nice and square if this works, and then I might go with that because then it won't have a rough edge on it, it'll have a proper polished cut edge. But I suppose it's good enough for a prototype, so let's give it a whirl. But this is prototype number 1, and we'll see how that goes. I'm going to drop that in. I have put a bead of CT1 around the edge of all this and 2 extra bolts in it. And if this works, the company will waterjet me a template of that. So I don't have rough cut edges in it, but it's very, very hard stuff, that 10mm thick to cut with a lecky jigsaw. So we'll give that time to go off and cure, and then we'll drop it in the filter and see if it actually works, or see if it just bungs up immediately and shoots out the overflow. Let's give it a whirl and turn the filter on and see what happens. So into the slot, as you can see, nice and tight, it's not wiggling at all. If you look through the overflow that I've made in it, there's the 4-inch return. So what we're going to do is we're going to start it up on normal speed and make sure that the mesh doesn't restrict it too much, that it can pass through it. And then we're going to put it on full blast to make sure it doesn't go over the top with a high flow rate. And then hopefully the only time it should go through here if it's bunged up, and it'll just stop it flying over the floor. But there's quite a good lip between there, and it can also get around the sides of water too if it really was bunged up. So let's switch her on and see. And that's going through there nicely. Pumps on. We're running at 35% which of the 20k vari pump, which is at what I normally run at. But what we shall do, just for an experiment, as I see, the water level is staying within the mesh. So now I'm going to crank it up on full blast and see what happens there. So now we're at 100%. 20,000 litres an hour. Water is flying through that filter. It's far too fast, but we're just doing this as an experiment. And as you can see there, the water level is still below the overflow by a good 10-15 mil. So the last thing to do now is leave it, and we'll leave that for a few hours to make sure that it don't bung up immediately quick, but it's not too fine. But that's the reason why I brought up a drum mesh. Well guys, let me show you what it's like after 6 hours of being on. Now, I can't believe how much fines this has pulled out. So, let me show you this. Look at the state of that in 6 hours. That is doing an incredible job. So what we need to do is just keep cleaning this as often as I can until it gets to the point where it's near enough removed as much as it can out the pond, and then hopefully I can just do it morning and evening, just do it on a cycle. Well guys, me and Leo have just come out to do our morning filter clean, and it's the first time we've left that sieve plate in overnight. It is going through the overflow now because we've left it from 3 o'clock yesterday tea time to 10 o'clock today. So it's the longest it's ever been left, to see how long it takes to clog up. And as you can see there, it's just gliding across the top of that overflow. So we're just going to give that out, take that out, give it a quick spray with hose pipe and put it back in again. All right. Well done, mate. Let's have that in.
Well, that's it for today's video.
So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this filter screen in and test it for a couple of weeks to see if the cleaning cycles get less frequent, see if we can end up cleaning it once a day, because at the moment it is pulling the particles out far too fast. Maybe the mesh screen's too small, but we will do it, and we'll keep cleaning it, and we can see if we can get it down to a manageable time. If we can get it down to once a day, that'll be amazing, and we'll keep it like that. If not, we might have to put something coarser in front of it to make a layered filtration.
Hi guys. Like, share, subscribe. Let's help this channel blow up.
See you on the next one.